Hello there. It's Mike.
And Katie.
And we're coming at you with episode 97. What are we talking about?
Today it's the first day of autumn.
On this week of Cup of Rad. Hey everyone, we're back for another week. How fantastic is that, huh?
Yay!
We're drinking some Spent Grounds coffee tonight, which is pretty tasty.
Because we got decaf.
We got decaf. We're not over-caffeinated this week.
Oh no, we're under-caffeinated. Sadness.
But we're recording.
What is the reality?
We're recording late at night, right?
We need to sleep tomorrow.
Yeah,
we need to
tomorrow. That's
or
where we're
sleep
at.
now. Maybe I am over-caffeinated. I'm just trying to come down off of that. I don't know.
I was at volunteering at a golf tournament for a charity today. So
he was gone for 10 hours, and it was weird. There's no other way to put it.
It was a long day.
It was weird.
It was a long day for sure, but it was all for a good cause. Bowls for Hope. It helps kids get food in schools when they don't have any for breakfast and lunches. So
that's super important.
It was pretty cool to experience that. Got to see people I hadn't seen it from class since May.
Yeah.
Or not since May. No, since March.
It's March. Yeah, you're right. Oh my goodness.
It's been 87 years.
Well, you pulled the 2020 calendar there.
Right?
Everything just blurs together.
I don't know what day it is, what year it is. Who knows what's happening?
Yeah.
But it's been a good week otherwise.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Kiddo's been back at school, so I've had a little bit more free time. Been watching Dragon Ball Super again, which is pretty awesome. Almost finished.
Had some blue sky today.
Yeah, the smoke cleared through.
Which is excellent.
That was really handy.
I hope a lot of people are starting. It seems like the West Coast itself. I mean, unfortunately, now it means probably the East Coast is probably full of smoke, but slowly
clearing.
Slowly it'll get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fall. It's gonna be fall.
Yeah.
Almost.
Just get ready for those pumpkin spice lattes. Right?
No, I can't have them. Thank you, Starbucks.
Well, we can make them. We can have them other ways.
But you know what my favorite pumpkin thing is? Pumpkin pie.
I love me some pie.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that.
We still got like a month, not less than a month before Thanksgiving, huh?
Thanksgiving's only a few weeks away for us.
All right.
Yeah, it's close, man.
Some pie.
It's weird. That's Kiddo's favorite part of the holiday. He's just, whatever.
Pie.
Just give me some pie.
Maybe we just do pie. We won't cook anything else. Just pie.
We'll just each make a pie for ourselves? Sure, I'm on it.
Pie face.
Anyways.
So the episode title was...
Hooray, it's fall.
Hooray, it's fall. We have a few things for you this week that we watched over a little while, and we do have... I was able to sneak in a spooky segment. So, yeah. Well,
you know, speaking of cartoons, you were talking about watching Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. You found out that on Crave here in Canada that Sailor Moon, the English dub version of the original series, is included on there now, which is fabulous because, you know, it's been fun watching it, just the subtitle one, because it's just a different experience for it, but it is sometimes a little bit harder because you have to be paying that much closer attention
laser focus,
it,
right?
You can't do anything at all, turn away.
You can't cuddle your kitty and then look up and you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, you never know, right? And so it's kind of been fun to be able to hear that. And it's also the pronunciation of some of the names as well. You know, you kind of miss that when you just assume what it's supposed to be pronounced like. So Kiddo and I actually dug in and watched like 7 episodes today, which was really fun. And it's funny because we've been watching Crystal, and it goes so much faster. And we come across this episode and we're like, we have watched this before. And I was like, I know we have. And I was like, okay, we know we didn't watch the prior episode from here. So I bet you this episode, because it's a key event, was in Crystal. And that's why. It's the episode 4 in Crystal. So yes, we definitely watched it in that one. It's like episode 19 or 20 or more higher
the original
in the original. So that's why. It's like that's how much time has gone through. Because I mean, in Crystal, we've already watched in the few episodes we watched. Jupiter's already there, and we're just now the next episode on the original is going to be when Jupiter shows up.
That's hilarious.
So it's amazing, the filler episodes, but these last few were really, really good. One of the bad guys had turned good, and there's all this true love transformation, and it was all heartwarming and sad because he died, and So it was actually probably the most I've enjoyed some of them because it was something really, it was a different story than the manga, but it felt not so fluffy. Okay. It had a little bit more heart and drama to it.
Nice.
And so that was fun.
Nice.
So that's what we've been enjoying, some of those cartoons.
Yeah, well, me and Kiddo, we watched some Teen Titans Go. And it's a weird episode arc. It was like a where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Oh. But where on the globe is Carlos San Pedro? I don't know. It was a weird arc. So then I was like, let's watch this Jurassic Park thing on Netflix.
Yes.
So the other day we decided to sit down. We decided to do that. Camp Cretaceous. It's a new DreamWorks cartoon, and all the DreamWorks stuff is on Netflix. Mm-hmm. So Amblin Entertainment got involved with DreamWorks, and they decided to make a cartoon based in the Jurassic World universe. The series takes place during the events of Jurassic World film. Mm-hmm. Few episodes take place before the events, like it's concurrent.
Before shit hits the fan, the few episodes are there. Right. It's fine.
And so I was wondering, because it's a kids cartoon, how it was going to be. Because like some of the Netflix DreamWorks stuff has been kind of good, pleasantly surprised. We ended up watching all 8 episodes.
Yeah, we binged it.
Yeah.
Because they did a great job of cutting it. It was like, we can't stop now. Oh my God.
Yeah, it really felt like it easily probably was cut as a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. And then they just really they were like, okay, that. let's cut it here, here, and here. Because it was definitely hooked. It reminded me of more of like the anime where just stops and you're like, but the next episode.
And what's great is then the next episode just started.
Yeah, there was no last time
full
on
recap and we had to relive half of it. And one of the things I really enjoyed was the use of facial expressions. The animation for that was used rather than constantly saying what they were feeling or overdoing conversation, and that allowed for a higher maturity level for it. And I really enjoyed that because so many kids cartoons can be overlaid with too much exposition. They said this and I feel like this and why are you doing this, when you could just look at them and be like, okay, I totally know that you're angry or you're confused or you're frustrated. And I really enjoyed that aspect. So
it does have a few faults. Some of the kids are they're stereotyped.
Very much.
But it's just the way to break it down, which is not a huge fault of the cartoon, but it is made for age 7 and up. Yeah. Right? And then there is the dinosaur sidekick, baby sidekick that kind of shows up that definitely, if it was a live action version, it wouldn't be there. That subplot wouldn't be there, right? Yeah. Or it should
because it was used to develop one of the characters, right? The dinosaur was adorable. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was adorable. I'm not saying what, but it just that moment where you're like, if this was live action, that would be cut out, right? Because it brought the age level down a little bit to kind of soften the dinosaurs. Yeah. Now, saying that, people do die in the cartoon.
Holy moly, there was some intense oh shit!
Yeah. So, which I thought was pretty good, and I had read in an interview with Spielberg basically saying that yes, we can make this, but this is Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. We can't back down on some of the stakes.
The reality is the dinosaurs eat people.
Yeah, that's the whole peril of the park going, in the way it was. Mm-hmm. So there is some actual stakes in it, and there is some pretty dramatic moments, and there is some dinosaur carnage. No blood, of course, but there isn't blood in Jurassic World. Yeah. Right. So it falls in line with that. Overall, I definitely suggest if you're a Jurassic Park fan, Jurassic World fan, check it out. Because it was really fun, too, to see where some of the story beats fit into Jurassic World as well. And be like, oh, yeah, that moment.
Well, very, very clearly was the pterodactyls when the helicopter goes down. You see it from a different angle of watching it happen. You're like, oh, it's this part. Okay. Yeah. So that was really cool to see.
So it was really impressive and done, and I think if you're into that universe, it's totally something that is
I think what we've agreed we enjoyed it more than Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, and you made a point though that why couldn't they do more stories like this
that take place at the same time?
Yeah, there's so many different angles that you could have gone with,
Yeah.
and kind of have a parallel or something maybe a little bit before that or whatnot. Even how I'm kind of curious how they got from Lost World to Jurassic World, like what people were thinking of how they got really up and running. Like, kind of be curious to see a little bit more of that breakdown, right? But
that would almost be better in like a series, like a live action series, because I think then you could delve into more of the politics of how they make it all happen. Yeah,
and all the conniving and the military aspect and the weapons and, you know, kind of the drama for that would be an interesting. Because it wouldn't be something that would be splashy for a movie. So understandable, more of a series would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So. But yeah, totally worth checking it out. It's on Netflix, and definitely was worth it. Yeah. For sure. Unfortunately, we only watched one episode of Thundercats this week, so we'll, you know, save some more Thundercats later. Yeah. It was a, you know.
Jackalman tried to take over and become General Jackalman.
Yeah, and he got boots.
He did. And they ripped them off of him when he tore them back down to size. It was like, you don't deserve these boots.
You don't got You're not a fancy general. Boots. He's no longer a Puss in Boots character.
It was so funny because we were like, wait a sec. We were like halfway through the episode. Wait, why does he have boots on?
Yeah, when did he get boots?
He must have had fancy general boots. And then at the end, the mutants are all ripping them off of him. Oh, okay, yeah. They were a sign of his higher ranking authority. Yep. Boots are gone. So,
you notice Mumra never showed up in that episode, which was kind of weird.
No, I think that definitely why it felt weird.
Yeah, felt different.
Well, because he was just like deciding he was going to do his own thing. He didn't need Mumra.
Well, it was weird. Like, Monkey tried and he got shafted. So.
Yeah, that didn't work. Going just with Mumra, so then Jackalman's like not going to involve him at all. Right. So.
Fair deal. Yeah. We watched another new movie actually this week too, which was a little bit of a surprise. We had some time. The Devil All the Time. Mm-hmm. It stars Bill Skarsgård, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, and Sebastian Stan. Yeah, were kind of the big names that were in it, which was pretty interesting to see them all working together. Mm-hmm. It's a Netflix original. It's a period piece.
It's very much a drama.
Yeah, it's one of those slice of life dramas.
It's started in 1957. Well, it was right after the war.
Earlier than that.
Yeah, it kind of bounced around a little bit. It started in 1957, and then it bounced back before that from someone coming home from World War II. Yeah. And then it jumps ahead a little bit too. Then it's
65,
45 to 65 idea. Right?
Yeah. So. Very well acted. Mm-hmm. Very well shot. Depressing.
Yeah, there's nothing feel good about this at all.
It's not a feel good movie at all. It's very, very slow burn.
So it's based on a novel, and it was kind of cool because the author actually narrated the movie, which I thought was really a really awesome option, right? Because it's narrated the whole time, which was a cool sense because you don't normally get that a lot.
No, not at all.
And so it really felt like you were watching a novel unfold, mm-hmm. and then when you find out that it was based on a novel, like, oh, okay, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Skarsgård is the father that it starts out with as the main character. He's the soldier that comes home from the war, and then Tom Holland is his son when he does grow up, mm-hmm. and then he kind of continues on all the way through for this next generation of things, and the intertwined lives of different people across multiple cities and how people interact,
years, and how it all kind of weaves together, and the choices that are made that causes those webs.
And it's very much steeped in religion and the belief that, how something that can be very positive, unfortunately, when life kind of kicks you multiple times and things that you can't control and people get sick and people die, and how you
react.
Yeah, how that positive energy can then morph into something unfortunately very negative, mm-hmm. and turn and be used for people to manipulate other people, mm-hmm. and the bad side, unfortunately, of people start showing up, and then they use it as an excuse to continue that behavior. And so it was scary to see that. And then you wonder, like, okay, well, how much of this probably actually really did happen? Because being in that time frame as well, you also see the gender differences on how people are treated differently, and how much easier some of that stuff would have been, the poverty lines as well. And it was it was sad, but it was really interesting.
It was really like it held my interest, but it was really depressing to see. Like, there's a lot of people die, angles,
and a lot of people just get used and abused, and and then you feel like you're rooting for something horrible because it makes sense at the time, and
you're always looking over your shoulder to basically see if the decision that's made is going to lead to another decision that's going to cause someone pain.
Yeah.
That's how every decision feels like in the movie. And
it even ended on a note where you're like, I'm unsure how things are going to go.
The narration even talks about that, about is this, will this lead to this or this or this, or is this the wrong choice? But you don't even know by the end of it too.
So it's very harsh reality of things, right? There was definitely people that have been worn down, and then they just get passed on for things, right?
It's generational trauma.
Generational trauma with that, right? How it just affects everyone, and it affects people amongst, not just your own family, but all the little, your neighbors in your community and everything like that, right?
And how they see things. And
so I'm really glad we watched it. It was a really good movie.
Yeah, I'd never watch it again.
No, it was.
I have no desire
to watch that.
But it's a good slice of life. Like it's almost something that should be watched to kind of see, and for the acting alone too, like Pattinson and stuff like that. They did just a good job with it. Cameron Clark is in it too.
He was the curly haired guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's the guy that I know that I don't ever know his name.
Yeah, the last thing I remember seeing him in was in Terminator Genesis. He played John Connor in that, right?
Yes.
Robo John Connor.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one was the one that played Alice. Mia Wall or something.
That's where I know her from.
She was the one mother.
Hayden or whatever, Haley. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I saw her and I'm like, I recognize her. I don't know why. Yeah. So, okay.
But yeah, it's definitely a dark tale. Yeah. But it's very real. Like, it's not a Hollywood happy ending. It's very, very,
But yeah,
without giving too much out, like it's a long film, but there's stuff in it that there's some shock value for the stuff that's in it, so it's hard to not just spoil it.
Yeah, we can't really give any sort of details other than it just involves a whole bunch of different people and their interactions.
Over 3 generations,
either related or just bumping into people. Yeah, and but yeah, for the time frame, it's really interesting.
And it's nice to see Holland, actually, because you haven't really seen him in a whole lot of stuff, and it shows that he has the potential to be a bigger star from what he is, I
mean, it was weird for Skarsgård, because you don't...
You kept seeing Pennywise.
But all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's Pennywise's face. Oh, that's creepy. Like, he did a really good job, though. Like, you really could feel his pain that he was experiencing, right? For all of them, they all did a really good job of
that's one thing I
either being creepy or in pain or anything, right? So
with Sebastian Stan, I'm gonna look up if he actually gained that weight, because he was pretty beefy.
Yeah,
like
you can only see it once in a while. You're like, wait a second, I recognize your face.
Yeah. Yeah,
like I saw his eyes.
There's a couple times where I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Well, then it made it worse because you could tell he had chewing tobacco as well. Yeah. He was a sheriff, and so then his face was extra puffy, but you could tell that something was in his mouth the way he held his lips, right? Yeah. So it didn't help anything. But I think it seemed like it's part of the character for what he was playing. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, so The Devil All the Time. I have a hard time with that title. Like, it's just a long title.
It's a weird title. It feels awkward. It doesn't feel like proper English, right?
Yeah. So. But it shows that throughout the movie, the devil all the time is there.
Yeah.
Right? Helping with your choices.
Yeah.
So, something to think if you like those oldie time kind of gritty slice of life.
There you go.
So we mentioned we were going to be doing spooky movies for the next couple months.
I love the fade on that one. Uh-huh.
Yeah, spooky movies. Ooh. right? Totally paid for that sound effect. It was
Totally
huge dollars. Just blow your mind. So, you need to check out our fans only to help us out, or Patreon, or whatever it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that we don't have.
That we don't have.
Send buckets of money. I like my money in buckets.
In buckets.
Yeah.
Not just a little bit. I would like buckets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it needs to be now.
Oodles.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a weird flashback with the
Oodles
word
of
oodles.
noodles?
No, I was thinking of caboodles.
Canoodles?
Any girl, woman, I'm saying girl, but woman of my age would know what a caboodle is. Yep.
Now you have to tell it, because there's probably...
They were like little plastic, girl toolboxes. And they would have their little plastic latches, and then you would open up, and then they would pop out in different layers, and you could use them for anything you wanted to, for crafts, or most of the time it was always makeup. And then we would decorate them with the glitter glue paint stuff, and you could color all over it and everything. But yeah, it was then you'd have all the compartments that would pop out, and it never made sense with all the number of compartments that you have. But caboodles, yeah. I had not thought of that for a really long time.
Spooky movie time. Ooh.
Uh-huh. What did we watch, Mike?
So we found that Amazon Prime Canada had Monster Squad. It was from 1987.
Yeah.
Written by Shane Black and Frank Drecker. Shane Black of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. Iron Man 3. So the tale of Monster Squad is that there's a group of kids that love monsters, and they've got a clubhouse, and monsters come to the town, and it's not real monsters in a lot of cases. It's the ones that they love and they idolize.
Right.
Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Gillman.
Well, it's 100 years after Van Helsing tried to banish them to this void from some manuscript for something.
And they messed it up.
I'd never seen this movie. I'd never even heard of this movie. And we decided it was basically like a monster version of the Goonies feel.
Yeah.
That kind of concept, right? That style of movie.
Yeah.
That doesn't really exist anymore, right?
No.
And so it was super fun.
Right?
It was just ridiculous fun.
And this one here is actually one that we planned on watching this before because I've thrown out on Instagram and even Twitter and stuff like that, throw out some of your spooky movie favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was from JDR 25.
Oh, okay.
He had suggested that one, so we'd already planned before he had suggested that. So
yeah,
because he said that was one of his favorite go-tos as a kid, right?
I was really surprised on how Dracula was actually really scary,
terrifying,
super scary. Right? For a kids movie. I'm not used to that, right? But it was oh damn, this guy is evil.
So Dracula's trying to get this amulet, and if he can break the amulet, then evil will reign.
Because they won't be able to get into the void anymore, too, and so then they'll be safe, and it's basically the amulet is pure good.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I like the scary German guy. I love that was just his name, was Scary German Guy, and then I love how easily the kids... I love that story, that concept in so many movies where there's this creepy old guy that lives in this house and the kids are always scared of him, and then it just takes one accidental moment basically for him to show that he's not creepy at all, and he's probably the best guy in the whole world. And
the best guy in the town. The one that listens, the one willing to help.
Yeah, and it's just he fed. There was never a second guess on it.
It was pie.
It wasn't oh no, he really was creepy.
Pie and Pepsi. He was
and he just sure, I'll sit down and translate your book that is terrifying. No big deal. I'll give you pie. I'll be I'm here. I'm your man.
Right.
I love that idea.
Well, it's the kindness of strangers aspect that's missing from movies. Because now if it was in a movie, now he'd be Chainsaw Murderer.
Yeah, he would still be creepy. Or if he came across nice, there would
died by pie.
Yeah, there'd be he would have poisoned them or something. It would have been a trap. There was no actual strangers are trustworthy and nice, and it's just the kids have to learn to not just assume that because they're a little bit different or more recluse that something is wrong with them. So I like that. That was like heartwarming for me. So.
Right. I love too when you get into these older movies that are also kids movies and that are always looking for virgins.
Yeah, it's a weird
like Hocus Pocus, right? And now this one here has the virgin aspect.
I like the different ways, the slang that they try to talk about it within the movie. It was quite funny.
Because they're trying to ask the one kid's sister if she's a virgin, right?
Yeah.
And she ends up like saying that she is, and she turns out not to be. Because
they do the spell, it doesn't work, and they're like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, so-and-so didn't count, right? Like...
Oh, yeah.
So I love, though, that it's the idea where they're like, they literally like, well... what about her? And it's like, she's like, what, 6 or something like that? I'm like, yeah, of course she's a virgin. Like,
yeah, that's an awesome way to think about it, because they always, whenever you need a virgin, you need someone who is actually able to have sex but has chosen not to yet.
Yeah.
Rather than someone who is young enough to never have had that choice.
Yeah.
And you're like, that makes so much more sense. I'm going to go grab the 8-year-old.
Right.
Because she can do the thing just as well. And we know she's not lying to us. Like... that seems so much more obvious.
Right.
You know, I was surprised, actually, how much the kids swore and how normal that felt. I thought it was weird how much more common it almost felt for young kids of that age to just do that little bits of swearing, because it was more of a real life thing.
Yeah. Well, even Goonies, there's more swearing in it than there is in now kids' movies. Like,
but then, like, it's funny because now adult movies have the ones... The adults are swearing so much more, but then like there's no kids showing that. That's more of the real life feel.
Because I think there's a genre of movies that are missing. There's that kind of grouping. They make those movies of kids together, but they're making them R-rated, like say Stranger Things or It.
Yeah.
Right. The Goonies style movie doesn't exist because they just don't see it marketable. It's either
too kid or
young,
super adult.
young or Marvel. Yeah. That's like what kids have now, right? Or it's like now you have to be an adult.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that when I was watching that. I was like, wait a second, like that's odd but yeah, you're right. With when you see the adults are swearing so much more, but it's all the other things as well that go along with it.
Yeah, because now you don't get those movies where kids are the heroes. Mm-hmm. Like they're just not even there. Yeah, right. It's animated or
it's weird. It's kind of fun. So you watch some of these movies and you're like, oh, I feel like, a little bit of like, it's calm. It's like, it's okay, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia for me for that, just for the fact of how many more practical effects are in those movies too. Yeah. And like how cool it just looks. Yeah. Especially after last weekend watching with The Mummy and how much CG was in that, especially for The Mummy Return, where like every time you turned around, it was CG. Mm-hmm. And just seeing like, just even like the sets that were there, for even as simple as they were, right? Like it was just cool to see, and the monster makeup and things like that. Like it just, I don't know, it's just fun to see how much practical work went into movies back in the day. Yeah. And, that just doesn't really feel like now it's where before it used to be like, oh, that's a special effect or like a CG effect. Now you're more like, whoa. Well, that was practical? Yeah. Right? Where before it was like the other way around.
Another thing too, back to the idea of, this genre is missing is that the adults were not goofballs again or mean. Yeah. They were like, his dad was just right there and like, we're just going to help out. We're going to get stuff done. That was another thing that was actually a pleasant surprise. Right. It's okay to root for both the children and the adults. Yeah. We don't have to pit them against each other.
What I love too is actually there are some scenes that really push that PG-13 rating that it had. Yeah. Like when the Wolfman explodes. Where they put dynamite in his pants and he explodes.
Yeah, that was really brutal. It rains bits of werewolf. Yeah.
Kiddo was just like, what is going on? And then like they start like reconforming back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
But I know he really enjoyed it. He had a lot of fun with it. And I think it's because it's the idea that it is kids. He gets to see in himself. He's like, wow, I could be part of the Monster Squad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Which I think is really fun to see that.
Well, that's that group, that camaraderie then, right? So, yeah.
Those friendship bonds.
So that was fun. It was a different movie for me.
Which is a silly one with, you get your Dracula, your Wolfman, your Frankenstein. Frankenstein's a good guy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always the one that peels off and goes because he's not actually the bad guy. Frankenstein's the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Monster.
Because he's Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
He's the monster.
Yeah.
Or is he?
He's just, he's not even the creature because you can't do that. So
yeah, because you've got the creature,
yeah.
the Gill Man. I guess you could call him the Gill Man. Interesting thing I was watching that is the Gill Man looked very reminiscent to Predator.
Yes.
Which, because Shane Black did punch up for the original Predator.
Oh, okay.
He was even one of the Marines in that, and then later on, he and this dude, they actually did the Predator movie that we haven't watched.
Oh, okay. So it's got to be it then. So it has to make sense.
Yeah, like being that they're around the same time, at least for that. Like they yeah.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, it's been fun getting to share some of the little bit harder, spooky movies with Kiddo and seeing it at kind of a different experience with.
Yeah, right. So. Like, so we're hoping to find out those little ones.
Because now you're just being able to this is the weirdest thing ever. Like,
right.
What's one of the ones we've decided we're going to watch for them next?
He wants to watch Elvira, Mistress of Evil.
Yes.
So we looked up the IMDb. It looked pretty...
One of the funniest things was he's watching it. He's like, wow, she's got really big boobs. Like, yeah, you can't miss it.
Yep. And then it seems like, so we're watching that, right? And we also found that Amazon has Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah. And I asked him if he wanted to watch that, and he was like... It looks like it'll be amazingly bad, but good time. So it'll be fun. We have to watch some of those weird ones. Yeah, and then I think that'll be kind of a fun thing to do because, we're not the standard. And maybe when October hits, we'll hit a little bit more of the standard. Yeah. Whether we found the birds, we're going to watch the birds. Yeah, some Hitchcock stuff would be kind of interesting, right? So some different... It was funny. We're like, you want to watch that? He's like, I don't know if I want to watch the Killer Bird movie. Yeah. Well, I also offered to watch Psycho for him, and he's like, no. No. I'm like, dude, you could survive Psycho. It's okay. Right? You literally were at Universal and watched a man burn. You can watch, So what else did we watch, Mike? We got to see something that I was really excited that never came to our theater before COVID hit. Extraordinary. And this was one of the ones where I saw the trailer for, and I was really excited. And then it was like a limited release. Oh, okay. Like it came to like one theater in Vancouver, and then it was like in Toronto. Those are like the two places that played in all of Canada. So Extraordinary is like an Irish film, I believe it is. And it's about this lady whose father was like a TV star that was like a paranormal investigator. Mm-hmm. And she started going on and doing things with him because she had a talent to be able to communicate with the dead, and he dies. You don't know what has happened, but she keeps apologizing for it. Yeah, and you find out that she's given up the paranormal life to become a driving school teacher. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people still know she does, and they keep calling her, and she's like, "No, I don't do that no more," and she still sees the ghosts and things like that. Mm-hmm. And split through it too is like old like footage of like her dad's TV show and his narration too. Yeah. Right. And it just looks so cheap and cheesy, but it's brilliant. It's funny. Yeah. It's a whole different style. It's a very specific style. Yeah. Right. And Will Forte's in it, and he plays this one-hit wonder like musician that is trying to get his music back, and he's trying to make a deal with the devil. Yeah. Right. And he needs a virgin. That he does. So you find out that he uses his penis stick to, it's just a giant walking stick. It's a giant walking stick with a penis on the end of it, basically. Yeah. And he has to drop this thing and then walk it and like chant, and then pick it up and then drop it and chant. And his wife's like, dear, you probably shouldn't, walk into town with your penis stick all hard. Because his wife's totally cool with all of this Satanist, like... Oh, she's like ready to kill people. Oh, yeah. Right?
Dark art stuff.
And so the main character gets pulled back into life because she gets this phone call that, this guy's daughter's floating.
Yeah.
Right. And he's actually haunted by...
tricks her a little bit to have him come over there, right? So...
And he's being haunted by his ex-wife, or his dead wife, not ex-wife, his dead wife.
Yeah.
And they realize that they have to get ectoplasm from 7 ghosts to try to save his daughter. So they team up and they go on a little adventure solving all these little paranormal problems.
Well, yeah, because then they start working together as a team, and she's able to basically call the ghosts in, and they inhabit his body. They can have their little last rites thing, and then she can, get them to expelled. And so then they have this lovely ectoplasm that he vomits up.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Why did it have to be so gross?
It's like a romantic comedy, but
a horror movie as well.
Like a paranormal spooky movie.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Well, you know what?
It's dry funny, but funny.
It's like English humor almost. Yeah. Right? Will Forte is hilarious in like everything that he does. Mm-hmm. Like just you see his face and he's just funny because of the way he holds himself, And he was just so edgy in this one. He didn't have that same goofball that he does play, but at the same time he was still silly. Mm-hmm. But he was totally on the belief that he was doing the right thing. Yeah. Like it was totally okay that he was trying to summon the devil and he was sacrificing the virgins. And this is just what needed to happen. And we're chill. And it's just the humor in when they went to go and get his daughter, because they have to go and bring her to their house and she's floating still. And they're just like driving
because you can't, if you wake them up they explode.
Yeah, so they're like, she's just moving at a snail's pace and they're driving along with her and they're having the world's slowest vehicle chase like until they tie a string on her and pull her along like a little balloon.
Yeah.
It was the weird quirky humor.
Yeah, right? It was just what the doctor ordered for that, like, you laugh but yeah, it had that spookiness to it, and the one thing that was cool was the actor that played Martin. He when he got to play his dead wife Bonnie was such a switch, and I wish we'd been able to see him play the other ghosts more then, especially because he rolled into that role so well,
and he would go back and forth on
his wife was trapped in him, and he just pop in and out because she wasn't able to exercise him. Mm-hmm. So, and a cigarette would come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have a cigarette, and then all of a sudden the cigarette would just pop out from his mouth.
And he just was this
crass, like old, like
she was just angry at the world, right? And she had this totally different accent and just I love too, because with being the romantic comedy aspect, there's a scene at the end where it's like, you got to take care of my Martin. You got to take care of, everything, his balls and all that. She's like, I wasn't really thinking about taking care of his balls. She's like, well, you can take care of his balls because his balls need taken care of. It's weird like that. Like, it's just weird. Right.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was happy that it was one of those ones where you're excited to see, and then you get to see it, and you're like, yes, I'm happy. But it wasn't like,
oh, okay, this was weird. And it was like, this was weird, and it was awesome.
Yeah, then the climax of the film is awkwardly hilarious.
Right?
That's going to be my quote for it.
Yeah, and
awkwardly hilarious.
I want to say more, but I don't.
You should go see it just for like the climax of the film.
Yeah.
Because... yeah,
awkwardly hilarious is a great way to say it.
That's what we're gonna say. So yeah, Extraordinary. Look that one up because it's definitely worth your time for sure.
Yeah, just a weird little humor right there.
So we're not quite into the whole Halloween time. Yeah, but it's like a little
this is just like everyday horror. You know?
Yeah, just little spooky ghosts. It's like Ghostbusters. I haven't read that. Right. So.
There you go. You just rolled right into that one. It's good.
Yeah. Little quotations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think
there you go.
That's it. We're like short this week. But it's, we had
stuff going on.
Things are changing.
There was stuff happening, so.
It was a lack of Thundercats.
We could have just done another hour of Thundercats.
Well, because the other thing today, me and Kiddo, with you gone, we just watched Disney movies while we were building Lego for trade at Toy Traders.
Yeah, so how did dead people die then?
How did dead people die?
How did dead people die?
How did any people die? Oh yeah, Disney movies, people are supposed to die.
Yeah, see, you didn't do it with me, so I can't kill anyone.
No. Well, I mean, I love Gaston's death in Beauty and the Beast.
Well, that's an easy one. He actually does die.
I know, but I'm just saying, okay, how did people die? Okay, that mob that showed up at that castle that got beaten up with all the furniture, people were lit on fire and put into ovens.
True, they don't really... Now, where is that, though? On the person.
There you go. So then the other thing is when the enchantment broke... So say someone is inside of some container and the enchantment has now broken.
Is there a fist hanging out of someone's butt? Is
there someone inside of another human being now? I mean, these are questions.
Those people died. That guy that was all like, "Moha, you're going in this cabinet," and then he's like, "Enchantment breaks," and then he explodes.
The other thing that we thought was funny, we were watching this and we started asking, okay, so we have some of these that are obviously were people and they're like full animated objects, right? Okay, so they have personalities and everything. And then everything else in the castle is also magically moving and alive. All the silverware, all the plates, they also move. Some of the silverware has faces, some of them do not. Everything is animated, yet only a few of them are real people. Why? Why is there magic in absolutely everything?
Magic. Moment you throw magic in there, nothing needs to be explained.
And we're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why all of this stuff is here and why some of them are real people and why, it just... But everything moves.
Throw magic on it, you don't have to explain anything.
But why do all the books not move?
Throw magic on it, you don't have to explain anything. That is literally like... I
mean, she sits the whole dining room experience. She's sitting at a table and
she's on acid.
VR guest playing. And those chairs are not moving, but the footstool is a dog.
Or just the realization that she actually had a psychotic break because her father was crazy and she actually hallucinated the entire thing because she was tripping on acid out there.
She's just
from her or it's a hypothermia.
She's just
and they're actually both dead in this castle. Yep. And she's trying to rationalize in her brain as she's slowly freezing to death in the castle after everything. So Belle never actually found her prince.
So she never actually leaves the castle. Gaston's trying to save her and she's clinging to something that's in the castle.
Yeah.
And she's stuck and now her soul is part of that and she just chucks him off the edge of the castle.
Yeah,
and
he does. He's never actually a bad guy.
Yeah.
Him and LeFou were just like, what up? We're here to save you. And they're like, oh man, they're dead.
But she didn't think we could ruin Beauty and the Beast that bad for you.
That quick, too.
Yeah, well...
I had that one loaded. Bam!
You did, right? I was just concerned about the animated plates, but, you're like, no, she's crazy.
No, she totally... It was from freezing when she went to go search for her father. Yeah. And her hypothermia, because that can cause you to start to hallucinate.
Yeah.
So it's all just a dream state as she freezes to death. It's like the end of The Shining.
It's like Snow White, the feel that, she never actually left the forest. She just went there and died. So same with Beauty and the Beast. Belle
you just find her like Jack from the end of The Shining, all just frozen in the castle.
There you go. That makes a lot more sense. I mean, because that was the other thing that I've always questioned. The timeline. Because when this enchantress shows up at the door, the prince looks like a young man.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's falling into despair. I mean, obviously, it would suck if he turned into a hideous animal and everyone, leaves and everything like that. But this castle's falling apart. And it's supposed to be years where the years went by and he fell into despair and he's just giving up. And yet, the castle was, he's a prince. There's generally a kingdom where there is said castle. It is not that far from this little town, and yet no one questions what happened to the kingdom. So it makes it sound like it's maybe 20 something plus.
They figured out how to live on their own. They were like, okay, fine.
Okay, we don't need it, right? So it seems like it's a long time period between like when they were ruling and when the people knew about it, because she has no idea there's a castle there. She doesn't have any question about that. And yet in the song, they have had 10 years they've been laying around resting.
Yeah, because...
So he's also supposed to only last till his 21st birthday, which means in 10 years, he was 11 when she showed up.
Yeah.
11-year-olds do not make good choices.
It shows you how crazy the old thing was.
So this is totally not right. Because Belle would have been alive when this all...
But they weren't from that town, though. They're from another town.
I know, but the kingdom was in the middle of a
because
forest.
They were crazy. They had to leave their old town. Because she can't...
So there really was no castle.
Fiction from reality. Yeah. She stopped in her own little... So
I have some serious problems with the timeline.
So it's totally just bogus and bumpkus, and we should never watch it again.
And she's just crazy.
She's just crazy, and she
read too many books. Look at that.
Yeah.
She starts thinking, making choices.
She didn't make choices. She just couldn't tell fiction from reality.
Yeah, there we go.
So
okay, now the next up, and don't you dare. But I watched Little Mermaid.
Excellent.
You know what's so funny as I'm watching this thing is I literally could say word for word every single word.
Yeah.
I had my back to it and I was still enjoying it. I was just saying it out loud as it went through.
That could be taken the wrong way.
Yeah. I won't go there.
Little Mermaid. How can we wreck this one for you?
Well, because Kiddo kind of broke my heart. I was like, oh, go watch Little Mermaid. To be honest, I don't really remember it. I was like, oh my God, we're watching Little Mermaid. How do you not remember it, dude? It's the one I watch the most.
Like, every time I'm not home, it's like, what'd you do? I watched Little Mermaid.
Or Tangled. Or Enchanted.
Right, like... Haven't you watched that? Yeah, 4,899 times.
You know what's ironic? Kiddo is actually the one that that originally recommended Beauty and the Beast.
Oh.
Because he wanted to watch something that we could still build Lego to because we've watched it enough that we could ignore it. How good do you think he ignored it?
Didn't.
Oh my good gracious. I was finding all the Lego pieces. I built this whole structure and he had a chair half built.
He can't watch and play.
And he's starting to just like look at the TV and put Lego down. It's like, kiddo, you can't do that. You have to look down once in a while at what you're doing. But either way, we got through it. He got better. But.
Nice.
Anyway, back to Little Mermaid. So,
well, one, she's a mythical creature, so she doesn't exist.
That is true.
So this is all through Eric's point of view, and the entire story then takes place with him as he's dying in the water.
No, because it starts with him. Yeah,
it's simple.
Shipwreck.
She doesn't exist.
It's because mermaids in general were built for sailors as they were going crazy and hallucinating on things. So
yeah,
I guess
So then, in reality, when he woke up on the thing, it's not actually the original Ariel, but all he's seeing is Ariel in his mind. His hallucinated mermaid. It's some crazy hobo chick living on the beach with no teeth. And that's why they're so concerned when they bring her home. He brings her home because she's just dirty, wretched old hobo lady
wrapped in a sail.
Yeah, and she's all with her cats. She's like a crazy cat lady, smelling like wet dog. And everyone's just like, damn, dude, we're glad you're alive. But, hey, how about this Vanessa chick, right? And Vanessa's not actually Ursula.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because then you got the Ariels all like freaking out because, how dare, this other one come in and take her place.
Yeah.
Because she's just crazy cat, wet dog, beach hobo. And... she then conjures up and that's why all the animals attack.
Oh, okay.
Because she's
also, friend of the animals.
Yeah, she makes like a sound and like everything comes down, right? Because she actually, was throwing like oyster juice on people at the wedding. So of course the birds are going to attack because there's like chowder on their dress and they're like, ooh. And yeah.
And she goes crazy and takes them off over the side of the boat.
Yeah.
takes Vanessa, I guess, and then he goes, okay, so there we go. Interesting.
That's why it's all golden and shiny at the end. And like, oh, because they've all died. And now he's like, sees all the mermaids at the end because he's,
What's interesting on Kiddo had pointed out, too, that they, Eric is the prince. He obviously has sailed before because with the way he handles himself on the boat, he knows what he's doing. This is not the first time out at sea. And yet it was the first time he had ever heard of King Triton. You're going to tell me that he had been around all those sailors and no one had said anything about King Triton before? And what's funny is as soon as we said this, then one of the sailors was like, any good sailor knows about him. It's like, yeah, you're totally like knocking him that he should know more about his kingdom. So
that's probably what it is. He probably thinks he's too good. He's like, I'm a sailor. I don't need this stuff.
Yeah,
you fools.
Yeah. Kiddo wanted to also know how you cried in the water. He's like, I don't understand how you actually have tears that would show visibly as different in the water, because with Ariel crying. I also would like to know how someone can sing so clearly underwater. So I would hate to hear what they actually sound like, because like whales and that type of thing of singing.
Now imagine part of your world.
And then when she comes up, she's sitting on Kiddo was like, she's sitting on the beach. How is she breathing? She has like the semi-gills, like the lungfish thing that we learned about.
She secretes a mucus to cover her skin so she can breathe.
Because you know what?
She's
reality,
just actually all pussy and slimy.
Real world mermaids, if they were a real thing, would not be pretty.
No.
Like that was what we were, and they also, of course, would, if they were any sort of humanoid thing, would also probably not be wearing some sort of bikini shell thing as well. But that, yeah, they would not be so pretty. And so, yeah, there's definitely those type of questions. But thank you for that Ariel's gone crazy and she's a hobo.
Yeah.
Crazy hobo.
So that's all he sees. So you're seeing everything actually from Eric's perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's all from like the sea blindness and all that.
Okay.
It's just, that's what he thinks he sees.
So he's being told stories of the mer people on the boat when he's out there. And then those stories are so fresh in his mind that when the boat,
to help the trauma patches up and creates a idea. And he probably was created, like saved from that little bit from crazy beach hobo lady. But
probably dragged him up on the shore. Type thing. Yeah.
She was looking for meat.
Yeah.
Just was like, I'm going to eat this guy. And then he was alive. And she was like, oh damn, I was about to cut you. And he's like, no, I love you.
Well, on that horrific note.
Yep.
Time to go.
Yep. See, there was something extra horrific at the end of the episode.
Oh, okay. Well, we learned something new today.
Yeah.
See? I watched a whole new movie and I didn't even realize
it. So next week, I think we're going to be looking at trying to do Elvira, because what the hell?
Why not?
Right. Continue on that spooky train. There's bound to be some other fun things we're going to see with you. So stay rad, dudes.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. Want more rad content? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review.
And remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!